57 maps to only 9. So we have a map of our function. 68 maps to only 2. 93 maps to only 9. 99 maps to only 2. So we say, yes, this is a function, okay? That's all you're looking for. And my domain is everything under my x, everything that the arrow is coming from, okay? So the arrow is coming from 57 going to y. So my domain is 57, it's going to be 57, 68, 93, 99. And this is a function because every element of my domain is mapping only to one thing, one element in my range. So, and my range on the other side is just 9 too, okay? Because all elements of domain of X maps to only one element in my range. One element in Y, my range. Okay, let's do another one. So notice, here I have from set A to set B. Is it a function? As long as I only have one arrow coming from coming out of my set A, it is. So this 7 only maps to 8. So I have 7. I have a 0.78. 7 only maps to 8. 2 only. -3 only maps to -4. I have a function. So I say, yes, this is a function because all my elements, all my arrow is coming out of one thing and it's going only to one other thing. So all my elements of my domain only map to one thing in my range. So I'm just going to put domain is 7 to -3. My range is 9, 8, -4. So somebody in tutoring, or was it tutoring or one of my other classes this other day said, basically your set A or your X, your domain can't cheat. So basically, if it's two timing, it's not a function. So however y'all want to remember it, that's up to you. So that's up to you. But if I had like 7 going to 8 and then the arrow from 7 also going to 9, that would not be a function, okay? Same reason, yes, because every element for my domain is mapping only to one element of my range. Now let's go to this third example, okay? So this is example 1. This is example 2. This is going to be example 3. So here I have a map from 8. My domain is where my arrows are coming from. So is the set with the elements 8, 9. And my range is where my arrows is going to. So it's the set with the elements -3, -4, -6, -9. If it's a function if and only if I only have one arrow coming out from each element of my domain. So 8 can only map to one thing. 8 can't be a two-timer. 8 can't be cheating. Okay, 8 can only get one arrow to one thing. So I'm only worried about my X going to my Y. My Y is just there. Okay, the X is the only thing making all the decisions, doing the arrow. So it doesn't matter if I have 2 different X's mapping to the same Y. That's fine. But I can't have the same X going to 2 different Y's. Okay? So here, this is not a function because notice 8 has three different arrows. 8 is going to -3, going to -4, and it's going to -9. Basically, if we had a set of points, that would mean I have points at 8, -3, 8, -4, and 8, -9. That means I have three different outputs. When my x is 8, I have three different outputs. My y's will be -3, -4, -9. I can't do that if I want a function. So no, it's not a function because 8 has to map to only one thing. An arrow from 8 has to map to only one thing. Am I making sense? Do I have any questions, or is there anybody who?
No, you're making pretty good sense.
Okay.
Just seeing this.
Yeah. Just looking, make sure it's not two timing. So 8 is going, because it's not a function, because 8 maps to negative, an element of my domain. 8 is mapping to -3 and -4 and -9, and 9 is mapping to -3 and -6. So you can only have one arrow coming out of it for it to be a function. So for every one x, it can only go to one y. If it goes to more than one y, it's not a function. All right. So I'm going to exit this so it will save. Okay. So let's go to the next slide. So let's do this one. So I want you guys to try these two. Tell me whether they're functions or not. So this is, I'm gonna name this try 1. So think about this for about 30 seconds. And then I want you guys to tell me whether 1 is a function or not, and whether 2 is a function or not. So let's do. Okay, so for number 1, what's my domain? Let me ask that first. I didn't prepare y'all.
0, -4, and 6.
Yeah, just the ones on the side. 0, the set with 0, -4, 6. And what's my range?
3, 8, -2, -3.
Just everything on the right-hand side. So you guys know this is 3, 8, -2, -3. Okay? So what do y'all think? Is there a function or not?
No,
It's not a function? Why? Why do you say it's not a function?
because -4 is going to 3, 8, and -3.
Yeah, it's not a function because I have an element of my domain of set A going to two different things, right? 8 and -3. It's two timing. It can't do that. It got to go to only one thing. It has to map to only one thing. So great job. So we're going to say no, not a function. So you guys get what you're looking for? Your x has to map to only one y. Or you say an element of set A, one thing in set A, you say one thing in set A in your homework maps to more than multiple things in set B. Okay, so look at the try 2. Is that a function or not?
A function.
It's a
No,
function.
it's not.
Okay, we have 2 different answers. What do y'all say? Somebody's standing on the answer. He came in, no. So why do you say it is a function? Why do you say it's a function?
Because every input has an output.
Every input does have an output.
But it's still not a function.
Why do you say it's not a function?
Because 0 is pointing to 2 of the other side.
It's going to 2 different things, 2 different elements of B, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you heard that? You are right that every input does have an output, but that's not what we're looking at for function. You can have a function where every input does not have an output, okay? What you're looking at is that for every input, you only have one output, okay? So what he was saying why it's not a function is like, look at 0. It has 2 arrows. If you got 2 arrows, that means it has 2 different outputs. It can't be a function. That's why it's not a function. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. If it only had 1 arrow going from 0 to -4, we would be good. But it's going to 2 different things, to -4 and 4. So with mapping, everybody understands why it will be a function and why it won't be a function, right? The most important thing I think is to know why it won't, when to see something and know it's not a function. I think that's, so this is not a function because that helps you know that you know the definition of a function. It's not a function because it maps to 2 different things. Can only map to 1. Let me just draw 1 in here. Well, if I had 3, 2, just to show you that you can have set A and have 2 different things, 5, 6. And I have an arrow mapping to 3 and 2 mapping to 5. Is this a function?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
it is a function.
Because I only have 1 arrow mapping my input to my output, right? How about this? If I did this, would it be a function?
No,
No, why?
because the 3 is
That's how-
going to the 5 and the 6.
Yeah. Your input cannot map to 2 different things. You can only have 1 Y for every 1 X for it to be a function. Good job, you guys. Okay, so I'm not gonna save this because all right. So now we're gonna look at it as set of points. So we're gonna do different examples. So looking at it as set of points, and when we're gonna go ahead and look at it with tables and look at the same thing, checking whether it's a function or not function in different ways. So to see if it's a function or not, when you have a set of points, all you're looking at is the same thing, but this just looks different, but it's the same thing. For every 1 X, you can only have only 1 Y. So remember, in points, you have 2 coordinates. Your X coordinate tells you left and right, and your Y coordinate tells you up and down, right, when you're graphing. So the first, it means every 1 X, you can only have 1 output, 1 Y. So here I have my X's and my Y's, okay? My domain is just my set of X coordinates. So here my domain will be 1, and I have -2, -1. I have 1 again, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't, you can't put 1 in the set again. So I'm just not gonna write it. And you really want to put it in your set, you want to put it in order from least to greatest. So I'm just going to rewrite it as -1, -2, -1, 1. Your domain is your set of Y's, okay? So here, my domain would just be all the second numbers. So -2, 0, 2, 3, okay? If you have an x where you have two different y's, it's not a function. If you have for one x two different y's, it's not a function. If for one x you only have one y, it is a function. So this is not a function because notice when I have x is 1, I have two different y's. When x is 1, it's telling me when x is 1, I have y is -2, and when x is 1, y is 3. So that cannot be a function, okay? If I had only this 3 points, I'll be fine. If I had only the first 3 points, I'll be fine. But they added that 1, 3. That gives me a second output. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you making sense.
Okay. So let me write it in the tables just so you can see. It's like telling me like I have x and y, right? I have 1, -2, -2, 0, -1, 2, 1, 3. I have 1 showing up 2 times in my x and with different y's. If it was 1, -2 again, I would be fine. But it's 1, 3. It's telling me 2 different y's for my same x. So it's not a function. So this set is, we're going to say it's not a function. Okay. And then I'm going to do number 1 and I'm going to do number 3, and then I will have you guys do number 2 and 4, okay? So number 3, again, my domain is just my set of x coordinates. It's just my x. So my first thing, 17, 15 over 4, 15, 17 over 4. Doesn't really matter how you write it in your set. You just told the math you always want to put things in order from least to greatest and order from in alphabetical order. So that's so that you can clearly see stuff. So I'm just gonna rewrite this. After I just write it, I'm gonna rewrite it again just so you can see. All I'm doing is just writing it from least to greatest. And your range is just your second number, okay? Your range is just your y coordinates. Is your set of your y coordinates. It's a function if and only if for every x you only have one y, okay? So you can make a table to see it clearly, or you can just look and say, okay, do I have any x that repeats? Like the quickest way on tests, what I just look at is my x. And if I see anywhere that my x coordinate repeats, I just look, does it give me a different number for y? Then I know it's not. So here I'm just gonna write a table so you can see what I'm talking about. I have 17 is mapping to 15 over 4. I got 15 over 4, that's mapping to 17. 15 mapping to 17 over 4. And 17 over 4, that's mapping to 15. It's a function only if and only if for every one input, I have only one output. And I see for every one input, I have only one output. There's nowhere where my x repeats again. And I have something different for my y coordinates. So I say, yes, this is a function. A function. So to tell if something is a function, not for every one x, when you have a set of points, you just look at that for that same x, there's only one y, okay? Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna give you guys 30 minutes. I mean, 30, not 30 minutes, 30 seconds. Look at number 2 and tell me whether, tell me the domain range and whether it's a function or not. So I'm gonna give you guys 30 seconds.
That's a function. Uh-oh.
Okay, so what do y'all think? Function or not? 30 seconds is over.
A function.
Okay,
It's a
I have
function.
okay, I have 2 people saying function. I'm gonna agree if I have up to 5. Do I have up to 5 people saying function? So I need 3 more people to tell me whether they say it's a function or not.
It's a function.
Okay, 3. Do I have 2 more
It's a
people that?
function.
Okay, 4. And one more person. Does anybody disagree that it's not a function? Okay.
It's not a function.
Did you get my messages?
No.
Okay. So, why do y'all say it's a function?
Well, no, it's a function. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not a function, or it is?
Have that.
It's a function.
Okay. Why do y'all say it is a function?
Because every x value has a y. It has one. All of them have one.
Has only one y. Good. Your set of domain has only maps to only one thing in your range. So every x value has only one y. And that's why we say it's a function. So yes, it's a function. Good job. And then let's see. What's my domain?
1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for those of you who are like, where did he get that from? It's just the first number. You're just looking at the first number in your set of numbers, in your set of points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I have a question. Will
Yes,
we
ma'am.
do this on the graph too as well?
Yeah. So you just, like graphically, it just means you have only one point for every one x. So here 1 maps to 1. So you get a point there. 2 maps to 2. 3 maps to 3. 4 maps to 4. Like that. You only have 1 point. If you had like 2 points, if you had points like 2, 2, and 2, 4, it would not be a function. Okay. And I'm gonna show you an easy way to just see it on graphs. Okay. What's my range? Sorry.
1, 2, 5, 10, and 15.
Yeah, the second number. 1, 2, 5, 10, 15. It's just your set of y's. Okay, and let's do number 4. I think you guys actually have to do number 4 in here again. Okay, it's almost time for us to leave, and I'd like to give you some minutes to actually do it. So I'm just gonna quickly go through with tables and graphs, just so you guys can get to the first one, okay? So you guys can get, so with tables, oh, let me do equations real quick. When you have just one x and one y, we call that a linear function, okay? That's the equation of a line. So this, as long as the x is on the numerator, it's just the equation of a line. So you have one x, one y. I know this is the equation of a linear function, okay? So it is a function, just so you guys know. So these are the kind of equations we'll be working with. Y'all see what I'm talking about, right? I just have one x and one y. If I had like x squared, then it wouldn't be. That's a quadratic. And I'm gonna have you guys draw the graphs for those. As long as it has one x and one y in your numerator, it's a line. It's not only a function, it's a function, it's gonna be a linear function. It's a function with a constant slope, or a function whose graph is a line. I just had to go to that just because that's going to be on your test too. Okay, so let's go to tables. Remember, if you have one x mapping only to one y, then you have a function. So here I have x mapping to y. I got 1 maps to 3, 2 maps to 5, 3 maps to 7, 4 maps. So I'm good, right? All my x's only have one thing. So yes, this is a function, okay? I don't have the same x going into different y's. Let's look at table 2. Table 2 is not a function. I want you guys to know this. 4 maps to -2, and the same 1 maps to -1. But here we have 1 shows up 2 times. Do y'all see that? But it's not mapping to the same thing. That's why I said it's not a function. 1 is going to -1 and 1. So when for the same x, you have 2 different y's. That's why you would say it's not a function. So for something to be a function, it has to have, for one x, it has to have only one output. For one input, it has to have only one output, okay? How about table 3? What do y'all think? Is that a function or not?
It's a function.
It's a function, because for every one x, we have only one y. You're just looking at that. For table 4, function or not?
Not a function.
Not a function.
Say not a function.
Because it has 2 1s, and one of the ones go to -1 and the other one goes to -3.
Good. You observed that for 1, we have 2 different outputs, right? -1 and -3 for the same x. So it can't happen. Is there another one that does that?
Yes, it's 3 and 3. Well, 1 3 goes to -2, and the other one goes to -8.
Perfect. Okay, so that's why I would say it's not a function. For a graph, an easy way to see if it's a function or not, oh my God, you guys don't have time to even practice. An easy way to see if a graph is not a function or not is what we call the vertical line test. So remember, for every one x, you should only have one y. So if you can draw like imaginary line with your finger and it goes through it hits only one point, then it's a function. But if it hits more than one, that means I have 2 different outputs for the same x. I have 2 different y's for the same x. That is not a function. So this one would say it's not a function because notice at 1, I have 2 different dots. And at 3, I have 2 different dots. So all you got to do with graphs is just run your fingers through it in a straight line. And you can see whether you have only one output for any one input. So we say not a function. It goes through there one time. You just do a vertical line test. Pretend like that's a straight line. This one would be a function because notice it's only going through there one time. And your domain is your x coordinate for your domain of your graph is just your x coordinates of your points. And your range is your y. So with this, we'll say it is a function because when we do a vertical line test, it's going through there only one time, okay? We only have 1 point for every one input. Okay, so look at the bottom one. Do the vertical line test on where it says number 15. Just use your fingers, draw an imaginary line going through. Is 15 a function or not?
Not a function.
Why do you say it's not a function?
Hold on.
If you can draw a straight line through and it only touches it one time, it's a function. If it touches it more than one time, it's not a function. I'm making sense. So we said this first one was not a function because it touched, see over here, it touched 2 times, right here and right here. And over here, it touched 2 times, right there and right there. It touched my little line through. I was having more than one output for every one edge. So what do y'all think of 15?
Not a function.
Okay. Why do y'all, okay, let's do a vertical line test. If I draw a straight line through, how many times does it touch it over here? Does it touch my graph? How many times does my line touch my graph?
2.
2? Where do you see the 2 times?
It's 1.
It just intersects 1 time, right? If I draw it here, how many times? Joe. Oh my goodness, that's the bell. Okay, so you guys, I think you guys should be able to do the domain and range. You should be able to do the discussion. So go ahead and finish this discussion, okay? You might be behind. That would be your homework. Finish the discussion and start on Delta Math. Your homework is on Delta Math. Let me see if I can show you guys what your homework is. Give me a minute. Let me log into my Delta Math real quick. Okay, if you forgot your Delta Math, email me, send me a message on Canvas, okay? So I can reset it for you. Don't have a Delta Math, send me a message so I can create one for you. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying to show you guys your homework on Delta Math. This thing's taking forever. Okay, let me just show you guys one more time. We're kind of behind, but hopefully we'll be able to catch up. I pray to God we'll be able to catch up. But y'all will definitely know functions. So your homework on Delta Math, it should say homework 3.2, domain range and functions. The first 2 is plot and points. The second one is where we're talking about is there a function or not. So here we'll say like this is the above is a function, represents a function because it have for each number in my input A, there's only one mapping to input B, okay? To set B. And then another one with points telling me if it's a function or not. And then you would watch the vertical line test video and tell me whether the graph is the graph of a function using vertical line test, okay? So just try to finish up your Delta Math. I think it will really help you understand everything we're doing right now. And then once you're done with that, see if you can go back to our module for today and finish it, okay? Finish all of 3.2. So finish your domain and range function discussion, your vertical line test, and the exit ticket, okay? And tomorrow morning, first thing tomorrow morning, we'll just go over all of that and I'll give you some time if I don't have enough answers, okay? Bye, you guys. Have a good day. I'm sorry for keeping you overtime. Bye, y'all. Y'all did really good. And I'm gonna discuss. All right. I'm gonna discuss grades tomorrow because a lot of y'all have been putting in really good work, but your grades are not reflecting that because y'all didn't retake your 9+1s. So y'all have to retake your 9+1 so I can put in the good grade for your 9+1s, okay? Because it only has your old grade before you did the ILT. So make sure you retake the 9+1 so I can put in your good grades and send me a message once you do that. And you can look at your old test. Okay, bye. Bye, you guys. Make sure you do your 9 plus 1 retakes after you look at your 9 plus 1.